Welcome to the Level 2 training module for Core Requirement 9, Facility Requirements, which explains the fundamentals of this section in greater detail. While the intention of this training module is to increase understanding of R2 requirements, it is not intended to be used as a standalone guide. For the official text of all R2 requirements, download the R2v3 standard from the SARI website. There are many aspects of responsible electronics reuse and recycling. Core 9, Facility Requirements, focuses on the physical building and location where processing and storage occurs. Core 9 has three general principles that cover processing and storage, insurance, and closure. The facility requirements in Core 9 are intended to ensure that facilities conduct operations in a safe, secure, and environmentally responsible manner, and with the necessary assurances to manage risks, including a facility closure. The first general principle for this section pertains to processing and storage. The general principle is to process and store electronic equipment, components, and materials in a manner that is legally compliant and protects the health and safety of workers, the public, and the environment. By default, the R2 standard generally requires all processing operations to be conducted indoors. However, outdoor operations are permitted where an R2 facility has assessed the risks related to those operations and has implemented the necessary controls to prevent any uncontrolled releases to the environment. Whether before or after processing, the proper storage of electronic equipment, components, and materials is important. Core 9 defines four specific requirements for the storage of R2 controlled streams to ensure they are secured and managed in a safe manner. To start, any storage of these items must be in accordance with the requirements defined in the R2 facility's legal compliance plan. The facility must also ensure that the storage area is secured from unauthorized access and protected from weather conditions to prevent environmental hazards or damage to the items. The final aspect of proper storage is to ensure the containers and storage areas are properly labeled to clearly identify the contents and intended storage locations. Proper storage conditions are also important for any items destined for reuse in order to protect them from damage. Generally, these items must be stored in an enclosed area, such as a building, trailer, or shipping container, so they are protected from the elements. The standard does, however, allow for outdoor storage of equipment that's intended for outdoor use. For example, cell phone tower components or satellite TV dishes that are designed to be used outdoors. The second general principle of Core 9 is for facilities to possess insurance that is appropriate to cover the potential risks and liabilities associated with the nature and size of the operations. A facility must evaluate the risks related to its operations and locations prior to attaining insurance or other funds to cover its potential liabilities. The intent of this evaluation is to determine the coverage required and demonstrate that it is appropriate based on the liabilities of the operations. Facilities must have insurance or other coverage for the treatment of work-related injury and illnesses of workers. In addition, there are other insurance requirements in the R2 process requirement appendices. These additional insurance requirements only apply to facilities certifying to those specific processes. The third general principle in Core 9 is for an R2 facility to have legal and financial assurances in place for the proper closure of its facility. To support this general principle, Core 9E requires facilities to develop a detailed closure plan for the proper cleanup and closure of a facility in the event of abandonment. Facilities are also required to secure a financial instrument to fund the closure process. The closure plan should identify the required steps and assign tasks in advance for ensuring the facility is brought back to sellable or leasable condition. Should assume current owners or management would not be managing the closure. As such, the R2 facility must identify commercial business entities that will be used to manage any electronic equipment, components, and materials under the R2 facility's control. In addition, the plan must include a risk analysis of the closure process, including equipment and materials that could be received under the R2 facility's scope of operations, including any legal concerns or obligations. Another important aspect of the plan is determining costs for closure. This should include processing remaining inventory, sampling for environmental contamination, potential site remediation costs, and any other costs to return the site to sellable or leasable condition. After determination of costs, the facility can establish a financial instrument to cover the necessary funds for closure, consistent with the closure plan and any applicable law. The vast majority of R2 facilities will be required to maintain a financial instrument to fund the costs in the closure plan. However, there are several conditions that exempt certain small, low-risk facilities from this requirement. A financial instrument is not required if all three of the following conditions are met. If total closure costs are determined to be less than $10,000 and the size of all buildings owned, leased, or used are less than 1,000 square meters, and if the R2 facility prohibits and never accepts equipment or materials containing mercury, CRT glass, lithium primary batteries, or polychlorinated biphenyls. The closure plan is referenced in several other requirements in the R2 standard. An example of this can be found in Appendix A. A facility that manages negative value equipment is required to include the costs associated with that equipment when determining closure costs. Core Requirement 9 supports the safe, secure, and legal operation of all R2 facilities. In addition, Core 9 requires facilities to plan for and manage the potential risks that may arise, both as a result of processing activities as well as the closure of the facility. For more information about the R2 standard, visit the R2 Knowledge Base on the SERI website.